through halfway through your week, even though Preston Thorne wouldn't consider it a hump day.
Not yet.
Some would.
Not yet.
And if you do, you're at the halfway point.
I will say, though, early this morning, Wednesday's earning it.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's earning it. It's
been a long week so far.
It feels like it. It feels like it.
But we're halfway through. We're getting closer every day. But get it started here with us at the early game. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Shane Beamer spoke yesterday. It's that time of the week. And in terms of press conferences I've been eager to hear, I think this ranks high on my list of ones I have wanted to hear since I have been here because of where the team is right now. We know what the expectations were at the beginning of the season. We know what the record is. It's not good.
Those two things are not matching.
At all.
Expectation versus reality. Very far apart.
Even if you swapped the record around, it was 4-3. You'd still say you were not where you expected to be at this point of the season. And there's a ton of noise on the outside. Obviously, when things aren't going well, there's going to be, and rightfully so. And I don't think Shane backed away from that part at all yesterday. I think he is fully aware of how this team is disappointed so far this season. And they're currently looking everywhere for answers. And yesterday he was asked a couple times in different ways, kind of about how this team blocks out noise. But this was the main response to blocking out outside noise with this team and what they're doing to try to get better on the field. This will be cut 4, Jen.
Block it out. If you're spending time listening to that noise, then you're not doing the things that you need to be doing to get better. You're not doing the things that you need to be doing to win. When our players walk out of the locker room each and every day, they see a sign on the door of the locker room that's there permanently that says, starve your distractions, feed your focus. And I love that. I mean, starve your distractions, all the things that are cluttering your mind. Starve it as much as you can and feed your focus. And again, I understand there's noise out there and there should be. I'm not happy with where we are right now. And I'm going to get it fixed because we got great young men in this program. And as the leader and as the head coach of this program, I realize that I'm letting a lot of people down right now with the way that we're playing. Our players that I feel like I'm letting down, our coaches, our players' families, our coaches' families, the student body, the 80,000 people that pack Williams-Brice Stadium every Saturday. The state of South Carolina, from Charleston to Myrtle Beach to the upstate to the Midlands, there's a lot of people that live and die with Gamecock football on Saturdays, and I get it. They're not happy, and neither am I. And I take that personally because I truly feel like I'm letting a lot of people down right now. And I'm working hard each and every week to try and to get it fixed, making the decisions schematically, personnel-wise, staff-wise, each and every week to get it fixed. And it's a process, but we're going to get it fixed. We're not far off from where we want to be.
Now, what makes this fascinating is you hear all that laying it out of how he's trying to turn this thing around, how this team is trying to turn this thing around. And there's a lot of things that have to be fixed internally with just how you fundamentally play the game of football. And what makes this fascinating, and if you're a Gamecock fan, depressing, this would be Depreston, is you have to figure it out while playing against the hottest team in college football right now, a team that looks like an absolute buzzsaw, a defense that last week held Tennessee to 20 points, the first time anyone has held Tennessee to under 30 this season. Oh, yeah, and also put up 37 against him because Ty Simpson has turned himself into a Heisman contender.
Yeah, first of all, Mr. Ty, I was not familiar with your game. I apologize.
Tip of the cap.
Yes,
you were not who I thought you were. The opposite of Denny Green.
Yeah, we'll get you later. Ty Simpson is not who I thought he was. That being said, yeah, it's really not. This is the opposite of the get-back game would be this game coming up, right? The get-back game is the game, where you stat game or get-back game, get-right game. This is not that.
No.
This is not that, but it is an opportunity, and that's the only way that you can look at it. It's the only way you can face it. And again, your attitude in the building has to be very different than our attitude outside of the building.
Yes.
Because we are the ones providing the noise. Rightfully so.
That's our job.
That's our job. And your job as a fan is to question, is to support, is to voice concerns. But inside the building, they have to try as hard as possible to fix whatever is that they're ailing them. That means you have to identify what is ailing you, and you have to correct it, and you have to hold the accountability. And there's a lot of steps that have to happen, but they have to try and fix that within the building.
And I think kind of that a lot of that starts on the offensive line in terms of like what is ailing this team. And really, it's offense as a whole, right? And then you have the subsects of the offense that are working very well. Offensive line, and clearly play calling has not been good enough because you're not doing the things that are going to be conducive to future success, right? And I think a lot of people that have been breaking down the tape, that have been watching this, like for us, watch the tape Tuesday, is us basically watching this, mostly the offense. Now, I was a little more concerned about the defense upon second watch, but watching the offense and be like, okay, what could be done differently? And a lot of that is, okay, how you approach your offense has to change. Whatever your offensive identity is has to change, right? Because you saw Oklahoma with coming into this game with similar pretenses as you did, short passes, rolling the pocket, found a running game somehow. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to find a running game against Alabama, and if you do, then you have worked on a lot this week. Congratulations, you're starting to piece it together. But so much of this comes in from the offense. The defense has its struggles at times too, but it's been at least adequate enough to keep you in games. A lot of this just starts on the offensive side of the football and finding some type of way to highlight the best player on your team.
Yeah, and again, still, regardless of how Todd Simpson is playing, respect to you, he's still not as talented as Lenoris Sellers.
Nope.
So he's still in his truth serum moment. If you ask Kalen DeBoer who we want at quarterback, he say, "Yeah, Ty, I love you, but excuse me,
I can work with that guy.
That guy's over there. I can do something with that." So you still have that. You still have to work on that, but you have to figure out what that means throughout the weekend. As Shane said, staff, schematics, practice schedule, whatever it is, you can't leave any stone unturned because obviously it's not working based on what they thought it was going to be and based on what it is. My big question though is, how did we get here? Why are we here? Why was it just a case where did they know the whole time that this was going to be the thing? Are they surprised? Have they not evaluated enough film or enough football that now have seen that this was going to be the case? Because going into the season, the narrative, we talk about narratives all the time, the defense was going to come along, but the offense was going to be the one that was going to bolster the team.
That was going to
hold it. It was going to hold it down while the defense came along. That has not been the case at all.
Been the opposite.
Correct. And so, yeah, they have a lot. They have a lot to try and fix.
Especially that offensive line, because I remember in the offseason, a lot of the talk was, okay, you expect Josiah Thompson to take that jump. Kaysen has not experience. Yeah, and Kaysen's been hurt.
He did. He was developing.
Yes. And you did see that growth with Kaysen. You have not seen it with Josiah at all, really.
He's regressed. And then you have a bunch of interior offensive linemen that you recruit. One that you recruited, they were going to play, Shed Surratt. And then 3 others you got from the transfer portal that are experienced players that played in different types of offensive systems. With someone like Boaz Stanley, you get him thinking that he can play a bunch of different positions, right? The versatility was the appeal there. So it's like, okay, you have experience, you have some versatility. That should be further along. You shouldn't have to start at the ground floor. Unfortunately, you've had to start below the floor, and that's why Lonnie Teasley is no longer the offensive line coach for this team. Where did that goes wrong so quickly, I think, is kind of like the beginning and the end of the discussion, because so much of the offense's problems stem from not being able to get good push up front, lacking in physicality, and not being able to protect your number one asset on offense. Those 3 interior O-linemen have not lived up to the expectation that they were brought in here to do. That's obviously clear. That's a huge difference than the O-lineman that they brought in last year, Torricelli, who raised the ceiling of the group.
Was your best player on that unit.
Was the best player on the unit. And so that's a total difference, whether that's a missing evaluation. But when you bring older guys in the portal, we're not here to develop you.
Yeah, you were hoping you're already developed.
You got to bring your own. You got to bring your own. Bring your own Louis, as Coach Prime would say, right? You got to bring your own bags, and they have not, and that was either a miss at the beginning of the season or a miss throughout the season. But the also miss is that they haven't had anybody that they can go in there and replace those guys with. So then there's a development issue behind them. Mm-hmm. So there is the issue, and that is very difficult to get fixed in a week when you're going against what some would say is the best team in the nation.
Which is why South Carolina is an interesting case study in the world of college football of how you build an offensive line. Like the prevailing thought in college football is it's really hard to build an offensive line through the transfer portal. Maybe one piece could help, two, but it's such a continuity position group that if you do, or if you're constantly shuffling in new people and you're not developing those behind them, then you're going to live on a year-to-year basis, especially if you're playing in a league like the SEC that has a lot of parity, that is known for beating each other up. You will live on a year-to-year basis, no matter how good a lot of the other places are, or position groups are. You know, I mean, like Colorado is an incredible example of that.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
NFL quarterback, NFL caliber quarterback, a Heisman Trophy winner that you're playing out wide, and it's not like they recruited scrubs at other positions too. At wide receiver, they recruited some dudes, like Will Shepard, that played at Vanderbilt, was a dude, 1,000-yard receiver type of guy.
Jimmy Horn's playing for the Panthers.
Jimmy Horn's playing for the Panthers. Like they had dudes on that team in the skill positions, but they got worked at the line of scrimmage so much that first year they went 5-7, even in a league that's not known for its physicality in the trenches. But physicality in the trenches is such a non-negotiable when it comes to winning college football games that it doesn't even really matter what you have outside of it. But unfortunately with this team, that unit has been so disappointing to the point where it blows up a lot of what you want to do offensively. And if you're not willing to adapt and change what it is that you do to account for that, then you're going to be running into the same problem. We're going to have the similar weeks like we've had the last couple weeks with the Oklahoma game, with the LSU game, where your offense is seemingly either in reverse or it's stuck in neutral for most of the game. And it makes you feel like you almost have to go for it on fourth down at the goal line because you don't know how many times you're going to be able to get in those situations later in the game because you know that offensive line, that protection, that run blocking unit won't hold up against the more elite defenses that you have to face on a weekly basis in this league.
Yeah, and you're going to have to face them considering you're going to have to do that all the time. So, yeah, tough spot. And this is the first time Shane has been here.
Truly.
First time he's been here.
2023, I felt a lot different.
It's the first time he's been here. And so there's always a first time. You're always learning on the job. You don't think that 5 years into your job, you're going to be learning something, how to handle it. This is a situation you don't want to be trying to do again. But here he is. So dealing with disappointment, as you said, the numbers aren't the same from 2023 to this year. It's a totally different feel. And obviously, I would argue that this year was arguably worse.
Oh, the expectations were pretty high going into 2023, but they were not this high, right? This year's expectations were at a completely different level. Sean, we'll get to you on the other side, so we'll take some calls, your texts. We'll also get into some of the specifics about Vakari Swain's injury, because maybe one of the biggest revelations yesterday at Shane Beamer's press conference, the severity of Vakari Swain's injury and what he had to play through on Saturday, an example of at least how this team isn't quitting on you just yet. That's next here on the early game.
No major slowdowns at this time. Great start to your Wednesday morning. Not hump day, though. Just Wednesday. Forecast-wise, 77, breezy at times today, 75 tomorrow, mostly sunny, 73 for Friday. So great forecast ahead, sunny skies. We love that. And as far as game day goes, looking for a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 72. Right now, though, 52 on the early game.
Turning around a 3-4 start to your season when expectations were sky high, already a pretty difficult task. Even harder when top 10 Alabama comes to town and is reeling off win after win after win and looks like the hottest team in college football. So how do you do it? Where do you begin? That's what we're talking about today on the early game. We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines where Sean is on the line with us. Sean, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Pretty good, man. You doing all right?
Yes, sir. I'm doing all right on the way to work. My question is, maybe Mike Shula need to go up top to see exactly what Lenoir needs to see. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, Sean. That's actually, I think, a pretty good suggestion. At this point, any change is good. Anything is going to be good at this point. And if I am Mike Shula, I am not leaving anything off the table. That might be something that's beneficial.
They're open to anything. You know, offensive coordinators do it different ways. Some like to call from the top, some like to call from the field. It seems to me a lot of your feel type of guys, kind of vibe dudes, i.e. Spurrier, they like to be on the field and kind of see things on the play. But a lot of your technical guys who need to see everything from above, like to be up top, Mike Shula seems to me to be one of those guys that would benefit maybe from being up top. That's a great point, and I don't think anybody's brought up something that simple, Sean. I haven't heard that yet, but maybe that's the thing. Because also when you're up top, you're away from all of the noise, if that's a key word for today, the sideline, everybody's on top of you. You have your own space. You have your assistants next to you that you can talk to. That would be maybe a change that needs to be looked at. Sean, that is a very simple suggestion, and maybe that would help.
I would love to just poll offensive coordinators. If I could just get the contact for all 136 FBS offensive coordinators and say, where do you do this? Why do you prefer to do this? And just see the pros and cons, because that's one thing I've always thought that, I try to put myself in the shoes of the subjects, we talk about. And I'm like, if I'm an offensive coordinator, what would I prefer? And I get the person to person interaction you get with the people you're coaching. And I think that's probably where a lot of the value lies for a lot of offensive coordinators, is being on the field to be like, hey, if you see a problem on a play and you need to talk to the receivers about how they're running routes, you can walk over there to them and tell them. But also, from a play calling perspective, I've always thought it might be a lot more beneficial to see it from up top, because you're able to see everything and kind of diagnose it maybe faster in real time. Right? It's maybe less after the game having to go back and look, because you already saw at least one angle that you're not going to be able to see really well on the field. At this point, any type of change to try to get something going is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, just think about if you were to go watch a game. That's not the greatest. The greatest seat is standing not on the sideline.
No.
It's not a great place to watch a football game.
I've thought before. I was talking to Jordan Kay about this when we were walking out of the press area at LSU. And we're walking on the field to get to the other side to get to the elevators, and I'm about to do my on-field video or whatever. And we're looking at the stands behind the goalpost, and we're like, do you consider these good seats or bad seats? And I said, you know what? Quite frankly, terrible seats.
Yeah. On the sideline is a tough place, especially if the field has a little bit of a crown to it. You can't really see on the other side. You can't see what's happening. The dimensions are not working. So what's going to happen is, if you're on the sideline, you need to rely on your eyes up top to be telling you what's happening, what's not happening. But what is that communication process? Are y'all in sync? Are y'all looking for the same things? Do your eyes see the same things? So that's an extra layer of communication instead of you being top down and telling you, here is this what I see. This is the call. Fix it on the sideline, which is what they did last year because Dow was up top. Mike was able to communicate Dow's messages to Lenoris. So that, as simple as it sounds, maybe that improves, but also should be on the table as suggestions. Hey, Mike, you ever think about going up? You ever think about doing it this way?
Let's try it this way. Let's just see, right? Because honestly, when you get to a point in the season where something like this occurs, where you are staring down the barrel of missing a bowl game, at this point, there are no stupid questions. The only stupid questions are the ones not asked, right? You could even say, hey, how about we run all this from the wishbone? Probably no, but not a dumb question because we're taking everything right now.
Right.
We're accepting all input right now at this moment in time. Going back to AAA Heating and Air phone lines, David is on the line with us. David, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, guys. I really hate that y'all had to go back and watch the tape. I really hate that for y'all. I'm tired, man. I'm tired of hearing about the good week of practice and the way it translates. I'm starting to wonder maybe if we don't really know what a good week of practice looks like. But I had two questions because I don't know whether it's rumor or fact. But do either of you know if it is true that our assistant line coach 2 years ago was an equipment manager and an assistant quarterback coach never played the position in college? He was a wide receiver. I appreciate what y'all do, man, and hang in there. Talk to y'all later.
I appreciate that, David. Thank you for the call as always, brother. But I cannot confirm nor deny those two questions about the assistant offensive line coach and assistant quarterbacks coach.
You may be getting a little bit mixed up with the assistant defensive line coach who's now coaching for Travian. Jordan Dove, I believe is his name, who's worked his way up through the ranks. And that's a common path for a lot of times coaches have taken that path. So that's not necessarily a thing, but I hear your point. I hear and understand your point, but you may be getting those a little bit mixed up. I can't speak to the quarterback.
I can't either. Yeah. And I know, and oftentimes too, like the way you get into coaching, if you didn't play college football a lot, is by getting in as an equipment manager, being a part of practice, setting up practices, and then eventually you get on the staff. And then for Jordan Dove, obviously something happened that you can't prepare for,
right,
and you obviously don't plan for, and you kind of get thrown in there. And by all accounts, they say he's doing a really solid job, especially considering the sudden change of what happened to T-Rob happening. But when it comes to us watching the tape, yeah, David, I alluded to what my dad used to tell me sometimes. He goes, I don't do a lot of things, Elijah, because I want to do them. I do them because I have to do them.
Yeah.
Right? And I love this job. I get paid to talk about and watch football, so I really have no honest complaints, only funny ones. And I didn't watch the Oklahoma-South Carolina game for a second and third time over this week because I wanted to. I did it because I had to.
Yeah, and to the point about maybe not necessarily knowing what a good week of practice looks like, I think that's a fair question. They've seen teams in the past who have performed, but this year it's very difficult to say, yeah, man, we're practicing well, we're just not getting it done on Saturday. It is worth the question to ask, like, do you know what practice looks like? Do you know what good practice looks like? Because it's not necessarily what we're seeing.
Which is why I wish I asked that follow-up. It's one of those things when I left, I was like, I probably should have asked what you would consider to be a successful practice.
Yeah.
So the question I asked, the mic's cut out. We don't technically have the audio of his
and it's going to be the thing with that question is going to be subjective to everybody. You know, you might have some things like, you know, we didn't have a lot of balls on the ground. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. It's a lot of vibes. It's a lot of touchy-feely things,
vibe-based
right?
metric.
And that's kind of like nobody wants to hear that right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's a tough spot to be in.
Nobody wants to hear that, but I do appreciate a commitment to your process, even if other people do not like your process. Because he said a lot of the same stuff last year and the results happened. So if you truly believe you're practicing really well, then you truly believe you're not far off, right? We're not at practice, so I wish I could confirm whether or not the practice is good or deny that the practices are good, but we don't have access to that footage. We don't have access to those practices. So it's really hard to tell. And in a situation like this, you take people's word for it, right? And sometimes you can practice well and have a disconnect. Like one of my most notorious stories of this is Dwight Howard, horrific free throw shooter throughout his career. Could not make 1 out of 5 to save his life. Apparently in practice was like a 90% free throw shooter. But he gets into a game and he peed down his leg at the free throw line and is notoriously one of the worst free throw shooters in the history of the NBA. Ray, we'll get to your call on the other side as well as discuss what Vakari Swain is playing through. That's next on the early game.
No significant slowdowns to start your day. Loving that. And we're looking for a high today of 77, sunny and a little bit breezy at times. Sunny tomorrow, sunny on Friday. So basically, we're going to be 77 today and then mid-70s through the rest of the week. 72 with a mix of clouds and sun for game day. So it should be perfect football weather. 52 currently.
(803) 404 6100. We're talking about this South Carolina team translating practice to the field and trying to get things right in the room before you have to take on arguably the hottest college football team in the United States of America. A pretty big land last time I looked at a map. We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Ray is on the line, our man Ray. Good to hear from you, brother. Welcome to the early game once again.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'll tell you, oh, my goodness, Carolina football, it's like now it's come to the point, it's almost a joke. And I don't mean a joke in a bad way. I mean it's almost comical. And I'm a diehard Gamecock Club member for 25 years. Haven't missed, I think, 2 home games in the last 30 years. But, golly, it really has. But I'll tell you, Elijah, you can make up some coach, whether it's a head coach or an OC or whatever. You can make up some coach's name. You can make up a conference. You can call it the Mile High Conference out in Colorado or the Mid-Central Conference in California. You can make up a name of a little school, and you can say, this guy out there is getting 500 yards a game, 45 points a game, and all that. And I'll tell you, us Gamecock fans, we'd be willing to buy that dude without even Googling him. We're so desperate for offensive football. You know what I mean? But laying all jokes aside, we're playing Alabama. I believe it's homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
And not sure what it is about homecoming. I mean, I do know what it is. But homecoming, you'll have people from, all over the country that maybe they don't make a game, but they're going to come for homecoming. They get with the fraternities, sororities, all that stuff. It's a big time, But unfortunately, I don't think Alabama's the team you're going to pick a homecoming game against. And the way things are going this year, and what's really got me very concerned, even especially for Coach Beamer, is that so far we've lost games to good teams. I'm not going to use the word great. I think they're very good teams, but they're not offensive juggernauts by any means. Mm-hmm. We're getting ready to go into the land of offensive juggernauts. And I really think so. We've been hanging our hat on. We're right there. We're in the fourth quarter. We either got a lead or we're within a score. We're right there, even though it never felt like we're right there. But, scoreboard-wise, we were. I mean, what are we going to say if Alabama puts 45 or 50 points on us when we put 10? I mean, I don't think Shea can say we're so close. We're right there, Then we go to Ole Miss, and, that coach there, he'll beat his mother 50-0 if he can. And then we go into Kyle Field, which has been it's been a horror show for us when we play there. So what I'm saying is these people we've kind of been accepting. We're losing by 7, we're losing by 10 or 20 or whatever. But now we stand a chance of going to losing these games by 30 or 40. And if that happens, I think all bets are off, and we don't know what's going to happen with this program. But that's what I got to say. Thanks, guys.
And Ray, what you touched on there is why conditions are ripe for it to be ugly, right? If we're doing a weather report here, it's under ugly watch, a heavy ugly watch. And then when Alabama comes, if that scenario happens the way you lay it out on a homecoming weekend, we are in ugly warning, right? It has been like ugly derailment will have fully been spotted because, look, it was a 14-7 game, second half against Oklahoma. It was a one-score game. You're down 7 with the ball with less than 5 minutes left on LSU's side of the 50. Late in that game, But there's a big difference right now. And we'll get into a lot more about Alabama starting tomorrow with LSU's offense, Oklahoma's offense, and Alabama's offense, and Ole Miss's offense. Again, those two teams have quarterbacks that are talked about in Heisman discussions. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. The watch and warning differential.
It's one of my favorite pieces of literature. The taco watch versus taco warning. Taco watch means you have ground beef, you have cheese, you have tomatoes, you have a shell, you have your guacamole, you have salsa in separate compartments.
Yes, they're not combined.
Taco watch. When you combine them, now you're on taco warning. And that's a great point. Yeah, all the elements are really in the atmosphere for it to get pretty ugly. And there's watch around.
Because it was already a little ugly this weekend.
Yes.
Against Oklahoma.
You saw the clouds rolling. You saw the clouds rolling in. And Ray, I think that's a great point because we've been able to maybe soothe ourselves by saying that the games are closer and we felt close. But these two teams, and that guy down at Ole Miss, as you said, Ray, eloquently, he would beat his mother by 50 if he could.
He would.
And he would have no hesitation on running it up. And so, yeah, it is perilous. It is a treacherous. It was going to be treacherous regardless, but in the state of conditions that we are right now, it is going to take an extra effort for them to keep the Wolves at bay because conditions are set for it to get pretty bad.
Yeah, it can be set to potentially be very, very, very ugly because, again, those offenses are in a different class than what Oklahoma and LSU is. And as well as South Carolina's defense has kept them in games until late against Oklahoma, until the last drive against LSU, and the way they at least forced turnovers in the LSU game, it kept you in it. But this is still a defense, when you look at some of the numbers, lower in a lot of metrics that they were not in last year, like stop rate. They're outside the top 75 in stop rate. Teams that are outside the top 75 in stop rate, I don't expect to keep Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M under 21 points because those offenses are operating on a different plane right now. Before we get out of here, too, I wanted to play this, and we'll play a little bit of it. But this is Shane Beamer talking about Vakari Swain's injury because he played with a broken finger on Saturday, and I was like, oh, okay, well, broken finger, usually you can play with that without having it surgically repaired. Well, here's the backstory behind this. We cut 16, Jen.
It was Wednesday. We were catching punts before practice like we always do. I was over on the one field where we were working with some of our punt pressure guys on fundamental stuff. The returners were on the other field. Clint, the head trainer, came to me and told me that Vakari had dislocated his finger and they had him in the training room and they couldn't get it back in. Meaning they were trying to pop it back in so he could go back and practice. So dislocated, broke, whatever. They couldn't get it back in. And then he came back out to me. He's like, we still can't get it in. We're bringing in an outside doctor, like hand surgeon, to see if he can do it. But part of the reason we might not be able to get it back in is, not to bore y'all with details, but I guess in fingers there's some sort of little bone or something that's like a washer that got like bent and up in his fingers that was preventing it from getting popped back in. So they had to go in there and do a surgical procedure. So he went to the hospital that afternoon to get it done, thinking they were going to get it done immediately. And then I think, unfortunately, there were some trauma cases that came into the ER, so he had to wait. So I was texting him throughout the day, just checking on him, and he was like, I'm good, I'm just hungry. But he couldn't eat because he was getting ready to have surgery. And then you're sitting there thinking, you got to be freaking kidding me, like our punt returner.
Yeah, obviously he goes on a lot more detail, but I'll tell you this, as somebody who has grossly dislocated a finger, and the reason that my pointer finger on my left hand still does not point all the way to its maximum potential is because of that dislocation. But however, I had the luxury of popping it right back in immediately, right? And that immediately, when it happens, it hurts really bad. But when it pops back in, it's like almost like relief, right? Like when we wake up in the morning and your back's hurting a little bit, but you like stretch it and you feel like it crack a little bit, and you're like, oh, that's good. Yeah, he didn't have that luxury. So sitting there with a dislocated finger for hours and then finding a way to play on Saturday. Not a lot of bright spots on this team, but Vakari Swain toughing it out. is notable.
Yeah, for sure. And going out and doing his job, because that is not an enviable position at all.
By any means. We'll have more of your calls and 50 ways to lose a football game, because a team in the NFL has given us another fun example to use. That's next. Eight zero 404-6100. That's the number for the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, where Tom is on the line with us. Tom, good morning. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. First of all, one positive thing, Alabama could be kind of flat this week. I'm sorry. And the other thing, when I hear Shane talking about great practice, well, the problem is they're practicing against themselves. So, I don't know. Every time I hear that, I'm thinking to myself, are you kind of throwing the team under the bus a little bit, saying, I'm doing the coach's role, but the players aren't coming through? But I really do think when I hear it, practice was great. From what we've seen, they're practicing against themselves. So I'm not so sure you can take as much out of that as you should. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Tom. And look, that's the one thing about when we talk about camp leading into a season that I always find fascinating is the dichotomy of coaches diagnosing what's happening, whether or not, like, if the offense is just on a roll and they're scoring a lot in practice, is it because your offense is operating at a high level or your defense is not what you expected it to be and you have defensive problems? Or if you cannot move the ball on your own defense in scrimmages, does that tell you that your defense is the 2000 Ravens or your offense is constantly just stuck in neutral and shooting themselves in the foot? Sometimes that could be hard to kind of diagnose, and that's kind of up to your coordinators too to say, okay, this is not what we wanted to do on this play. This is not what the objective was here. They threw us off our game or we really messed that up, right? Mm-hmm. You could have a lot of that. And also there's still a good chance that they do play well in practice, but something's just not translating to game day. And that could be the fault. And I see what Tom's saying there about him seeing that as Shane throwing players under the bus, but I don't necessarily see it that way too, because that is also the fault of coaches. If they're not doing it in games, coaches also need to adjust and be able to put them in positions to be able to do better. That's where the whole we are winning as a team, players and coaches, and losing as a team, players and coaches, because it's also up to them to be able to make sure the conditions are right for them in game day to be in a good position to win.
Yeah, this is where you go back. This is where I go back to my teaching background. If I give a test on Friday, we give a test, and everybody, when I get the test results back, and everybody got problem number 12 wrong, I probably did something wrong as the teacher, because everybody shouldn't get it wrong. Now, if just Elijah gets it wrong, it's probably his fault.
Yes, it's dummy alert.
Yeah,
on number 12.
He's the dunce in the room, and that's fine.
Right. It's me.
And we know Elijah's the dunce, and I just mark it wrong, and I'll keep moving. But when Jen, who's the A+ student, she gets it wrong, I have to look at myself and say, maybe I didn't teach that right, or maybe I gave some misinformation, or maybe something is a problem there. And so that's where you have to diagnose whether it's the students who the issue are. It's always the teacher, one, but then you have to figure out, well, maybe I did something wrong that I didn't teach that correctly.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. And in this situation, you can't grade on a curve.
No.
You know, out on the field, there's no curve.
There's no curve. It's either you do or you don't. Pass, fail.
The wins count, the losses count. And it doesn't matter how you get them, they still count, right? The record will still reflect what the result on the field is. And using that analogy here, like, what are the common themes that this team is messing up with right now? Like, offensive line's the obvious one that comes to mind. But for a couple of games, it was tackling, and it wasn't just one person who was missing tackles. It was a few people that were missing tackles, and that was Vanderbilt and Missouri games. It wasn't just one offensive lineman that was committing procedural penalties against LSU. It was a multitude of them. And when you look at the Oklahoma game on offense, it was kind of a mess all over the place when it came to blocking. And it wasn't just one player that you can point at to and say, hey, what are you doing? It was a multitude of them. And that is kind of where, I guess, coaching failures of the season can be highlighted, right? And we have to preface this with, if they are blocking well and tackling well in practice and not doing it in a game, then maybe they're not doing things in practices that they do in games. Sometimes you can prepare for a test and give your students all of the practice questions, but when the test arrives, none of the practice questions you practiced are on that test. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance that that's a possibility too. And that would explain good practices not translating to good performances.
Right. And when you look at the offense as a whole, there is not one offensive group who has performed at or above expectation. Mm-hmm. None of them. So, so you have to look at the whole process and figure out what is the process. And the process might have been good. It might even be good for what the team was last year. Yeah. But this ain't that team. This is a new team, and you have to figure out what's working for this team. And obviously what they're doing is not working.
And just to go back to Tom's point, too, when he talks about, like, a deflection of blame and a comment like, we practiced well, we didn't play well. Again, there could be times where you practiced really well because you prepared against a specific type of defense, but then you play against Brent Venables and he will mix it up on you. And it's like, oh, we weren't prepared for that. And that's why things can end up looking the same way. There are still, even if you practice well physically, maybe mentally, you are not as prepared for the game as you thought you were. And that's why this week is so big, to get back kind of to the ground floor on how are we going to prepare for games. Because if we're practicing well and not playing well, then maybe there's a failure of preparation in some of the more finite details. Hour number 2 coming up next. 50 ways to lose a football game. Florida State, maybe? Join the list.
Traffic moving along pretty well this morning. No accidents at this time. Nothing to report. And all we are reporting is sunny conditions for the next several days. 77 for the high today. Now, our overnight lows, like getting up in the morning, going to be more in like the mid to upper 40s. So keep that in mind. Going to want to layer up as you head out in the morning. Tomorrow's high 75, 73 on Friday. And on Saturday, we're looking for a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 72. Right now, though, it's kind of holding steady this Wednesday morning. It's 52 on the early game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We're breaking down South Carolina's issues. And South Carolina's lost a couple of games in different ways this year. But the beauty of football is that you can watch any game on any given weekend, and you will discover new ways to lose a football game, which is why we have summoned our pal, Paul Simon. It's not 50 ways to lose your lover, Preston Thorne. It's 50 ways to lose a football game. And this weekend got wacky.
Yeah, to say the least. To say the least. And again, though South Carolina has lost football games, we haven't really lost them in especially unique ways.
Yes. I mean, different mistakes have highlighted different losses. It's a different type of way of finding ways to lose a football game. But this segment is more geared towards teams that really find different ways to lose football games. And should we start in college or the NFL?
Let's start in college, and we'll get to the league.
Because you want to talk about another coach that's on the hot seat, a coach who might be getting to live what I would consider the dream, which is get paid $54+ million to not work anymore. Mike Norvell, you are in paradise watch.
But he just got a full vote of support from his AD.
That means a ton. Is there a better responsibility ringing move than just being like, he's got my support, and then when they fire him, pressure from other people. It wasn't my decision. Going full Pontius Pilate here is what every athletic director does whenever a coach is off to a really bad start. It's the will of the people. It's not me. It wasn't my choice.
Was it me?
I didn't want to have to spend $54 million to fire him. That was the Bagman's. That was their whole initiative, not me. But I have a feeling the AD at Florida State is going to be putting on playing the role of Pontius Pilate here very soon, because Florida State discovered an incredible way to lose. Not only did they lose to a really bad Stanford team,
who was our first appearance on this esteemed segment when they had the aura farming. I have to continuously mention that, because they are maybe the only 2 times they've been on the winning side and the losing side. Shout out to you, Stanford.
Stanford making early game history as being the only team to appear on this for multiple reasons, right? Multiple reasons. But if you didn't stay up to watch Florida State Stanford, I don't blame you if you didn't, because you know what? I didn't, right? I discovered this the next day, and I really wish I watched it.
Long-standing ACC rivalry.
That's right, yeah. Nothing says an Atlantic Coast Conference football game than Florida State traveling from Tallahassee and making the short bus ride to Palo Alto, California. And, buddy, so we'll set the scene for you. It's 20-13. Stanford leads. Florida State gets the ball, and they're having to go full 2-minute drill, right? Even less. They have the ball a little past or on their own side of the 50 with 9 seconds left. 10 seconds left. And quarterback drops back to pass. A backup quarterback. Tommy Castellanos got nearly decapitated on a slide.
Yes.
Heaves the ball downfield. Clearly a Hail Mary attempt that fell 10 yards short. Florida State receiver came up with it and landed with 2 seconds left inside the 10. So now they don't have timeouts. So they have to scramble to the line, right?
But because it's in college, it is a first down.
It is a first down, so the clock stops. Oh, yeah, and you are not allowed to you cannot spike on that play. There is a rule in college football that if there is less than 2 seconds left, 2 seconds or less, you are not allowed to clock the ball. So they have to be able, on the referee's on his signal, is when the clock starts, and you got to snap it immediately. Well, they get there, and the snap is done without the quarterback looking. He's looking at the sideline, the other sideline, for some ungodly reason. And then the snap goes right behind him. He has to scramble. He finds the ball. He's backed up 20 yards. He just chucks it in the end zone. No idea where that ball's going. All he knows is it's going into the end zone, and, forget about it. There's a receiver down there somewhere. Well, there was, and he was heavily interfered with.
Very heavily interfered with.
A play that I call the Carson Wentz special is where you throw the ball 5 yards short of the receiver, but the defensive back runs straight into the receiver, hands up, not looking back, and it's a DPI.
Because the quarterback can't throw it that bad.
No.
Right?
Right, exactly.
You don't practice that.
Your defensive back, you're looking at the eyes of the receiver. When they look up and their eyes look like, get the size of moon. It's like, okay, yeah, that ball's coming my way. So you just hand up, and the receiver tries to backtrack towards the ball. There's going to be obvious contact. So it's defensive pass interference. So now we have an untimed down at the 2-yard line. Again, Florida State down 7. You must get into the end zone here on this untimed down. A beautifully designed play.
Yes.
Shovel pass,
Yes.
right, to running back Gavin Sawchuk, who is coming into motion. Awesome, well-designed shovel pass, and he gets hit right at the goal line. It looks like on the broadcast he's in. And all you have to do is break the plane, right? It looks like when he goes down, it's right over the line. Well, they review it. They determine he did not get in. And Stanford upsets Florida State. And Florida State now falls to 3-4, 0-4 in the ACC, and has not won a game in the All-Coast Conference in well over a year. It's been 365-plus days since they won their last ACC game. They found a way to lose that game. You should not have been in that position at all. But the funkiness in which you found your way back and still didn't win, despite acts of, consistent acts of God to get you back in that position, is really funny.
I mean, the butterfly effect from Jordan Travis getting hurt 2 years ago is almost like, it's amazing. And you just look back and say, this team was there, but maybe you should have known something when after that you got, I don't know, they get beat by 70. Did Georgia beat them by
63-3. Yeah.
Close to 70. I was trying to be as hyperbolic as possible. It almost was that.
You were trying to go full Bill Walton with the hyperbole.
I was. Yeah. And, well, I almost didn't go far enough.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. They're in a tough spot.
It's like when that team quit in the Orange Bowl, the program ended up quitting.
It all went down.
It fell apart. And we're going to look back on this at the end of this year and look at that Florida State-Alabama result as the strangest result of the college football season.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we talk about week 1 next year and we talk about week 1-iness, because that's just going to be it'll be an every year theme, right? When you play in the first week of the season, eliminating week 1-iness, that's going to be the poster boy week 1-iness game that we will ever get to use, was that Florida State-Alabama game. And also an example of what Kalen DeBoer has done sometimes when he goes on the road as a double-digit favorite.
Which we're hoping for.
Which is what we're banking on. I don't even know if I'm hoping for it as much as I'm just banking on it. So congratulations, Florida State. Welcome to 50 Ways to Lose a Football Game. Congratulations, Stanford, on being the positive side of a 50 Ways to Lose a Football Game. That was 50 Ways to Win a Football Game, a completely different segment. But congratulations, Stanford. You're on it. In the NFL, Giants, Broncos. I quit paying attention to this game because the Giants were up so big in the fourth quarter. Like, I straight up quit paying attention. We're in the fourth quarter, and I think it was, 19-0 to start the fourth quarter. So it's like, okay, you're up pretty comfortably. The Broncos finally get their first touchdown early in the fourth quarter on a double deflected pass.
Yes.
In the end zone. So it already took one act of God to be able to just get into the end zone. They score a touchdown. It's 19-8. The Giants respond. So it's not, so like at that point, the Giants are even holding off the comeback by seeing your score and matching it. So it's now 26-8, and some time ticks off the clock, and we're less than 6 minutes to go in the game. Well, the Broncos then get into the end zone. Once again, Bo Nix, who was just marvelous and actually looked like Mike Vick on a few plays in terms of running the ball. They score a touchdown. And I think I also failed to mention the way the Giants scored that touchdown to respond to the Broncos was also a deflected ball. Mm-hmm. If you like deflected balls and overthrows, this is your game. Mm-hmm. This was your game. Ultimately, the Broncos fight back, and they end up erasing that deficit, scoring a touchdown with under the 2-minute mark. So now they have a lead. Well, the Giants engineer a miraculous drive, which featured, a 4th and 19, I believe it was, that they converted. Ended up scoring. Jackson Dart scores a rushing touchdown, puts them up 2 because they missed the extra point. And then in under 40 seconds, the Broncos get in field goal range, and Will Lutz, known for kicking 60-yarders indoors, nails a game winner outdoors in the Mile High City. And the Giants blew a 19-0 lead in the fourth quarter, even responded to a touchdown with a touchdown. even responded by scoring in the final minute, and you think you're off the hook, only for you to miss the extra point and allow the Broncos to kick a field goal to win the game.
Second really fun game the Giants have been involved in, because that sounds just like the Cowboys game from earlier this season.
That one, nobody could stop each other.
Right, they couldn't stop each other. This was low scoring.
Fireworks.
But the Giants, fun team. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but it's been kind of fun.
Which has always been my big rule. If you're not going to be like a contender, or you're not going to be what you would consider a good football team, be fun. At least be fun. And the Giants are taking that to heart. Like, the Jets are bad and they're not fun. Right? I feel so bad for Jets fans, and at this point, it is an act of serious masochism to continue watching that football team play on a week-to-week basis.
Any Jet fan out there, please text in and show yourself, so we can just bless your heart publicly.
Well, I would like to publicly acknowledge how loyal of a person you are. If anybody ever came to me and said, Elijah, I'm seeing this person, we're dating for a while, things are going good, I just don't know if they're that loyal. And I'm like, what's their NFL affiliation? He's a Jets fan. Oh, you have nothing to worry about. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. If there's still a Jets fan, you have nothing to worry about in terms of acts of loyalty, right? But the New York Giants, don't know if they're good, but they're fun. And sometimes an element of fun is unpredictability. And blowing a 26-8 lead with 5 minutes to go in a football game and still retaking the lead in the last minute and still losing is not only fun, I find that to be more impressive than anything else.
Not to mention the side drama of Russ versus Sean, which is played out.
Two of the most unlikable personalities in the NFL.
Two dudes who you'd be like, I probably wouldn't want to be in a room with either one of them. But yes, Sean Payton made a little quip. Russell Wilson made a little quip. And it's like, I can see why that didn't work last year.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you throw in those two personality traits and the fact that Russell Wilson demanded his own office in the facility. I still have never heard of anybody doing that to this day. To this day, right? Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and he never once asked for his own office in the facility. He asked for a lot of things, but he didn't get his own office.
You get an extra locker. Maybe you get the corner lockers or something like that. There's some space, but come to my office.
And having his teammates come to his office. That story in The Athletic was so wild. Because could you imagine, Preston, let's say you're an NFL vet.
No.
You've been busting your tail on the line of scrimmage for 7 years in the league, right? And a new quarterback comes in. This hotshot quarterback, even my best days are behind me. But I come in and I say, hey, Preston, I appreciate the effort. You ever want to talk to me? You're like, come to your locker, right? Oh, no. If you ever want to talk to me, my door at my office is always open. It's always open. And I start talking to you like I'm a college professor and giving you office hours.
Make sure you make an appointment and see my secretary for that, please. Don't come outside of office hours either.
It's like, you know what? I don't mind taking in-play reps off, right? Maybe you need to get hit once or twice and move out of that office. I could definitely see how the Russell Wilson, Sean Payton thing did not work at all. I wouldn't even want to be a fly on the wall in those discussions. So that's 50 ways to lose a football game. We are blessed in the world of football of teams to be able to find ways to lose every single week. But coming up next, it's the early game morning meeting because we're getting this much closer to the sports equinox. I want to say we get it on Friday when the World Series starts, where we will get all professional, or Saturday or Sunday. Right, all professional sports. I'll count college sports. But you'll get all major sports playing on the same night because the NBA season tipped off last night, and we'll give you your viewing guide coming up next.
Looking for a countertop for a kitchen or a bath? Maybe you even want to update your yard with some hardscaping. Well, just the place for you. And that's Carolina Stone Craftsman, just outside Columbia. in Chapin. They do understand that kitchen and bath projects, especially, can be a significant investment, and they work really hard to deliver the highest quality and most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while still providing the best quality service. And I'm telling you what, it's great countertops with no compromises. It's that simple. We utilized them for some countertops when we were updating a few bathrooms. They were great from visiting the showroom. They helped explain what options we might have, things that might work better for us. Every step of the process was absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking for countertops for your kitchen or bath, reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman and tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family owned and operated just beyond Columbia and Chapin, and I assure you, beyond your expectations. Go online and check them out, carolinastonecraftsman.com. In Northeast Columbia, we have a report of an accident that's I-20 eastbound there at Two Notch Road. So be cautious approaching I-20 eastbound. Two Notch Road, exit 74. And we're looking for sunshine the remainder of this week. 77 today, the overnight low of 45. Every morning for the next few days, we're going to be in the kind of mid-40s. So layering up is going to be key. High tomorrow, 75, 73 on Friday. Mix of clouds and sun, and 72. Great forecast for your game day. Right now, 52 on the early game.
Oh, we're so close to my favorite time of every calendar year, the sports equinox. Hockey's already in play. Obviously, the NFL and college football are halfway through their seasons. But basketball's starting too. And last night, we finally got a little bit of NBA action. So it's time to give you the early game NBA viewing guide for this year to start our morning meeting.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Even if you stayed up to watch the Lakers.
Let's go.
Which I did not.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
You want to know why it will be an awesome day? Not just because, as a major hoop head, love basketball. Honestly, my favorite sport. Love it. Love football. Basketball is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because the season started, is because in the morning meeting, we have a musical guest. Jen, without further ado, let's hear from my boy, John Tesh. Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Oh, we got to hear that last night on NBC.
It's back.
It's so back. I'm telling you, when I heard Round Ball Rock on TV on NBC, I stood up on my couch. I stood up on my couch. I'm jumping up and down. I'm adding the lyrics from the Saturday Night Live skit.
Which is one of the best.
It is one of the
my God.
best. Oh, man, I was acting a fool.
But you know,
I mean,
it's a great song, period. Like, it doesn't even have to, I know it signals basketball. It's just a great tune.
It just goes.
triumphant
It goes.
tune, right?
Yeah.
I put Round Ball Rock in the pantheon of great sports sounding like intros. The only one that I can have it really compete with that's in its similar tier was the SEC on CBS.
Very good. Very solid.
But, I mean,
Chill-inducing.
but what we were listening to was a live broadcast on a morning show. And I mean, we're talking full brass, strings, the whole shebang.
whole thing.
It was phenomenal.
Oh, and there is a clip that's gone around of him of him conducting that, and he is amped, man. He is a guy that looks like he's about to drop 20 and 10 on you right then and there.
Yeah, and yet he comes across, he and Connie Selica are still married and whatever. They just seem sort of vanilla and just like very nice and just whatever. And man, you have him doing this, he's all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
He
man
had
gets
some-
in X Games mode.
Yeah. That's a great
I
description.
need to check if John Tesh still have his syndicated radio show on. He's getting these
And-
little shows.
And then we go back to the whole vanilla kind of snoozy, like, bless him. It's just nothing real exciting. But
You not put that and that together.
no. I mean,
Round Ball Rock, John Tesh, and John Tesh, two different people.
yeah, evil twins.
Yeah, gets in the mode. Elijah, so here's the deal. I enjoy basketball. I don't enjoy basketball until Christmas. That's usually my official starting
Okay,
point
fair.
for the season. When Christmas comes, that's when I usually start to get involved. But one of the things I want to do for this year is kind of help everybody. Again, if you're not necessarily in, I want to give folks a reason to be in. So we're going to work on like a viewing guide. We're going to work on just keeping people familiar with the stories that could maybe get you involved into the season, right?
Yes, I love interesting experiments, right? I love teams that are on the rise, on the way up. And one team that played last night, that if you're just casually watching and you're just NBA curious, the Houston Rockets are your team. Because here's the starting lineup from last night. And I will tell you the name of the player and their height. Starting at point guard, Amen Thompson, 6'7". At shooting guard, Kevin Durant, 6'11".
7 feet. He won't say it though.
He won't say it. He's a 7-footer. At small forward, Jabari Smith Jr. You know him from playing at Auburn a few short years ago.
Okay.
6'11". At power forward, Alperen Şengün. A poor man's Nikola Jokic, actually really, really good.
He's good.
6'11". And at center, Steven Adams, 6'11". That is a starting lineup. That is 6'7", 6'11", 6'11", 6'11", and 6'11". It is the biggest starting lineup I have ever seen in my life, and they play really well. And they all played really well according to their roles, right? Like Steven Adams had 4 points. He's never going to score a ton of points. He had 3 assists, 13 rebounds. Rockets lost the defending champion Thunder in double overtime last night. I'm going to say it now. The Rockets are winning the NBA championship.
Whoa!
That's my pick.
Whoa!
That's my pick. The NBA is now there's more parity in the NBA than we have ever had.
Whoa!
The era of the dynasty is over. The Thunder are great. They won last night. They're amazing defensively. But when push comes to shove, I'm taking the Houston Rockets because they're going to be fun. Not many people are going to be able to hang against that size. And then once they get fully into the season, you'll see a lot more Reed Shepherd, we know from Kentucky, who's finally starting to play defense at an acceptable level. That's why he didn't see much of the floor at all last year. But the Rockets, fun and really good.
We believe in Ime Udoka as a coach also, right?
Absolutely. One of the best coaches, and obviously his personal troubles. His inability to conduct himself in a professional manner has cost him his previous job.
Ime, we'll never forgive you. We as a community will never forgive you, sir, for that blunder of a mistake. What a turnover.
Unforced error is how you would say that in other certain sports. An unforced error. You like unpredictability, Preston Thorne? I think that's been the biggest thing most people would say about the NBA is it's too predictable. But do you like unpredictability with your basketball?
And over the course of 82 games, yes, I'm going to need some unpredictability.
May I introduce to you the Eastern Conference? There is no Jason Tatum this year.
Right.
If Jason Tatum says that he's going to play this year, don't believe him. He tore his Achilles in June. He is not playing basketball this year unless an act of God happens. That thing strengthens out of nowhere. Jason Tatum's not going to play. The Celtics had a fire sale, basically, to try to save cap space to preserve because the salary cap rules are so much more different. So there will be no Jason Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton. Tore his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
I was starting to like the Pacers a lot last year.
The Pacers will not be the same Pacers. No Damian Lillard for the Bucks, tore his Achilles, and he also now plays for the Blazers. He will not play at all this year, but the Bucks are a new-look team. They're a lot different. The Knicks and the Cavaliers are still your favorites to win the Eastern Conference, but don't sleep on the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, okay.
Arguably having the best offseason of anybody in the NBA. Kristaps Porzingis, you've heard of him, 3'6" Latvia.
Yes.
Atlanta Hawk.
Journeyman.
Now a journeyman.
Now he's a journeyman.
7'3", 3-point shooter. Journeyman.
Okay, yes, and I'm hearing everything you're saying, but we can't win with Ice Trey, can we?
I think you can.
Oh.
I think you can. That's where I'm not saying they go to the NBA Finals, but the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's possible. And the Orlando Magic, really good. Not just frisky anymore. They've been fun and frisky the last few years. They're a year older. They have a young core that's now playing in year 3 together with Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner.
So they're a team last year, they got eliminated in the second round, and it was fun. Like, it was one of those things like, man, that was a great season. We had a lot of fun, and now they have to take another step this year.
Yep.
So if you're a Magic fan, it was fun. Like you said, it was fun and frisky.
Now it's real.
Now it's real.
Yes.
And I would argue this is when it becomes not so fun to be a fan anymore. Last
Exactly.
year it's
Now
awesome.
it's stressful.
Now it gets stressful because now your team has expectations.
Because you were the fun League Pass team last year.
Kind of like a team around here.
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets, bad franchise, bad. All right,
Bad boys.
Very bad boys, right? Once you start being the Bobcats, you can never stop being the Bobcats, even if you change the name. However, the Hornets will not be good, but they'll be frisky. They'll be fun. LaMelo Ball, you don't know what you're getting on any given night. And as the local team, they'll be available to you whenever they play. But I was
Seats will
telling
be
Preston,
cheap.
Yeah, they will be available seats.
I was telling Preston during the break, I was like, you know what? I'll have a few days off in December I can take. I want to go hit up a Hornets game. Haven't done it. But Brandon Miller?
You'll be able to get a seat.
Oh, yeah. I'll be able to get a seat pretty easily. Brandon Miller's a lot of fun. Con Knipple, great three-point shooter. They're going to be fun. They're not going to be very good. So that is our NBA viewing guide here on the early game morning meeting. But coming up next, we're going back to football. We're going to tell you who we thought they were.
Clemson Road, a hardscrabble, report of a tie-up there. Also, Columbia Highway at West Main. There is an accident in Lexington and I-20 eastbound at Two Notch Road. 77 for the high today, 75 tomorrow, 73 on Friday. Looking for a mix of clouds and sun for game day. 72 will be our high. And just be mindful again that our overnight low is going to be in probably the mid 40s. So it's kind of the layering game of fall. Currently, like I said, 52.
Now, it's one of my favorite press conferences ever. Denny Green, after blowing a lead against the Chicago Bears without giving up an offensive touchdown. Talk about 50 ways to lose a football game. That team invented the list, right? The 2006 Cardinals invented the list. But Denny Green says the Bears are who we thought they were. So now it's time to give our Denny Green awards for the week. Preston Thorne, who proved over the weekend that they are exactly who you thought they were?
I've been so hesitant to give it up. I've been creeping and everybody's been saying, and I know we have at least one dedicated listener who's a fan of this squad, and they may be good, and they're still 5-1, and they still have a chance to do all their goals are in front of them. But Miami Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal, and Carson Beck, come here. You are exactly who I hoped you were. Who I hoped you were, because I just can't buy Cristobal, man. I think he's a great recruiter, O-line guy. Maybe we could use him around here. I don't know. But I just can't buy him, man. And for them to go there and Louisville's frisky. Jeff Brom's a good coach. But if Miami was who they think they were, they're supposed to win that game. But they're who I hope they are, and so they lost that game.
It's the Miami Hurricanes. They are who we thought they were. And that's exactly the first one I wrote down. Mario Cristobal specifically, because it's Mario, like, he will Mario a game every year. Georgia Tech a couple of years ago. He lost some stinkers. Lost a stinker in Syracuse last year with the trip to the ACC title game and the college football playoff on the line, blowing a 21-point lead. He's in for it once a year. And, man, I have never had more early game underdog challenge regret than having that on my list and not being brave enough to pull the trigger.
You didn't want to pull it?
I had it on the list. It was 13.5 points. Didn't want to pull it because I stick to my home underdog strategy. But, man, and Carson Beck, too. Look, he's going to get credited with 4 interceptions. He threw 5 because one got wiped off the board because of a roughing the passer penalty. But he threw 5, and they were all equally ugly, right? There's a reason that he fell off mock drafts in the first round in big boards, right? Because the decision-making is not there. He showed it at Georgia a little bit last year. He had it on full display on national television on Friday night. That one was pretty tough. That was pretty tough to watch. I got to put one, too, to Southern Cal, under Lincoln Riley specifically. Look, what has been the story with Southern Cal since Lincoln Riley joined? Awesome offenses. Must-see TV offensively. But you are never going to get enough stops to be able to win football games. There's a reason Alex Grinch was, the scapegoat a couple of years ago. There's a reason that Caleb Williams won the Heisman, put up ridiculous numbers, but they couldn't get into the 14 college football playoff because they couldn't stop the run game for Utah in the Pac-12 championship. Their ceiling has been completely limited because of Lincoln Riley's inability to form a good defense over at Southern Cal. Notre Dame puts up 34, and it didn't matter that Jade Maiava, who is having a fantastic season, an incredible season. He throws for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. There's a reason that the Biletnikoff front runner for the best wide receiver is Mekhi Lemon, and he only had 4 catches in the game, but had 76 yards. That's a guy who's put up video game numbers all year. Still can't win because they could not get a stop. Yes, Notre Dame's offense is good. I would say Notre Dame's offense is better this year than last year. So, yes, easier said than done. However, if you want to win the big boy games, you got to D up a little bit. So, Southern Cal under Lincoln Riley, you are exactly who I thought you were.
On the flip side, because usually it has a negative connotation, but I would be remiss if we did not mention this as we move into the World Series. Shohei Ohtani and Vladdy Jr.,
Woo!
you are who we thought you were.
Yes.
You are who we thought you were. Shohei, you've been who we thought you were from the beginning since you were 17 years old, throwing 100 miles per hour in Japan. Everybody's like, who's this kid? He's going to be the next Babe Ruth. And we all said, yeah, right. Nope, he's exactly who we thought you were. And Vladdy Jr., you are exactly who we thought you were when Toronto signed you to that outrageous contract, which is huge, but you decided to stay in Toronto, and both of you have led your teams to the World Series. Rare instances where the superstars actually deliver on being who we thought they were.
I'll keep it in baseball, too. George Springer. If you're not paying attention, George Springer's like top 5 all time in go-ahead hits or home runs in the playoffs. George Springer has now reached, because he hit that pretty much the game-winning 3-run home run to put them from down 3-1 to up 4-3. I believe it was in the seventh inning, 8th inning. Can't remember which one it was, but late in that game, hits that home run to give them a lead that they never looked back from. George Springer is now in like that tier of if it's base hit for your life. Really good article on The Athletic, written about a week before Billy Napier got fired. It's like, why does this not work at Florida? And it's like 6 theories. And one of them is it is working, but the administration is too impatient and they are probably too overreactive, because Jim McElwain took him to 2 SEC title games.
Each one of these dudes had a modicum of success, correct. I mean, Will obviously bottomed out at the end, but they all had success.
And Dan Mullen took them to, I think his first 2 years, they went to New Year's Day bowl games. And if it wasn't for Marco Wilson chucking a shoe at the end of the Florida LSU game, they win that game. Talk about 50 ways to lose a football game. That's another one, just in the 50 Ways Hall of Fame. Marco Wilson, the freeze frame, him throwing that shoe in the LSU game. Still, that picture is in a golden frame in the 50 Ways to Lose a Football Game Hall of Fame. Their record after that, I think, was 5-9 after that game. But that game, they were in position to not only go to the SEC championship game, they'd have been in a 4-team college football playoff. Mm-hmm. That was the type of discussion Dan Mullen had Florida in. He stops recruiting for some ungodly reason, why they couldn't just put a GM in that spot and recruit for him and do a lot of that work for him is beyond me. But they were quick to pull the trigger on him, bringing in Billy Napier, who is more of a builder, I would say, at the group of 5 level, because I think Billy Napier's still a really good coach. Not at Florida. Not his bag. Not a great fit of coaching style and place, right? So many reasons why it's not working at Florida. But, buddy, they have to figure it out. And a lot of it is Florida getting in Florida's way. Lastly, put Nebraska on this list. Finally got in the top 25. It looks like you're turning things around. You're finally winning 1-score games. But winning 1-score games doesn't keep you from being soft, because they go to Minnesota and got bullied at the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Exposed for being what they have been the last 25 years. Soft. And PJ Fleck rode that boat all over them, and Minnesota won 24-6. And spiritually, it was a lot worse than that.
Penn State, you sure you want to do that? You sure you want to do this?
I wouldn't if I were you.
Okay.
Let that game be your warning sign to not hire Matt Rule. Time to put some folks on the line. Next. If Denny Green says the Bears are who he thought they were, let me be the one to tell you that the Ecton Law Firm is exactly who I thought they were, and that is an excellent provider of tax stress relief. Look, they've been doing this for a long time, and it doesn't matter if it's personal income tax issues or if they're business tax issues. John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm specialize in being able to get to the root of your tax issues and finding a perfect game plan to get you one step closer to a worry-free life. The IRS maze can be tricky, and doing it alone feels next to impossible, but if you call 803-771-9800 today, you can set up a free consultation to go ahead and take that first step to total tax stress alleviation. John Ecton and his team are here for you. Again, that number, 803-771-9800, or you can always visit them at ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTONlawfirm.com.
Man, hey, let's just go and get on the line right now, man.
My patience
it's running thin. You're all running out of time. You was late to my practice, son? Everybody on the line.
Get on the line.
Let's go.
That's what we're doing right now. And you know what? Oh, the game on Saturday provided a lot of fodder for this segment. But Watch the Tape Tuesday revealed something to me that I did not notice in real time. And that was the tackling effort from, unfortunately, one of my favorite players on this defense. I'm doing the Wesley Snipes meme where he's got the gun out, but there's a tear coming out of his eye.
Because we don't discriminate.
We don't. We call it like we see it.
That's right.
Jatius Gear. But that tackling effort on Oklahoma's second touchdown, where he is in the backfield, is in total position to make the play, has his hands on the running back, on Xavier Robinson, and just kind of quits on it. Kind of quits on the play. He's in perfect position, hands in the right spot, but doesn't complete the tackle. And it's one of those things where I can describe it all day. You don't get mad about it till you watch it. And when you go back and watch that play, there's one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's Gear in the backfield and not making the play. So I don't want to do this, but I have to. Jatius Gear, get on the line.
Yeah. A lot of fodder this game for this particular segment. And listen, I know that you were running for your life. I know that there was a 65% pressure rate. I know that you never had an opportunity. But Lenoris, it was 4th and 2. And nobody's going to talk about this play because it's way overlooked. It's 4th and 2. And you ran for 2.1 yards, almost failing to convert on this 4th down. All you had to do was just turn upfield and get the first down. But you decided to run and just get to the sticks. And you didn't get to the sticks. You was right at the sticks. You were running towards the stick. Not on the other side. You were running at the stick. And you decided, I think I'm out of bounds. You left it up to the referee spot, and they almost got us.
I thought when I saw the play in real time, I was like, oh, he didn't get it. I mean, it was like, I don't think he got it. And he's pointing at the stick when the referee initially ruled him short. There's a way to fix that before you go out of bounds, and almost every good quarterback does that. 2 hands, of course. Don't hold it like a loaf of bread. Stick it out a little bit. If you're one to run out of bounds, cool, fine. But when you see that yard marker, make sure that ball is blatantly obvious to God and all creation that the not just the nose of the football, but the football is well beyond it, because it stays tucked on his right hip when he's going out of bounds. If you move that forward and just say, hey, nose the football right here, go out of bounds, we don't have to even review it. And it's not up to the eyes and the judgment of the officials, which we all know, not reliable.
We run this program where we start at the top. Lenoris, you are the best player on the team, so we expect more out of you. That means Lenoris Sellers, get on the line.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was. And at this point, too, I'll put the entire offensive coaching staff. Mike Shula gets a lot of the blame, rightfully so. But this is a team. I'll say what happened on Saturday was a team failure. So all players, I don't even care if you didn't play. I know you didn't take a snap, Aaron Nolan, but come here. Come here. I know you didn't take a snap, Jawarn Howell, but come here. Mike Shula, Sean Elliott, Mike Furry, everybody on that staff.
Coach Blackwell.
Coach Blackwell, you too. For only scoring 7 points in this offense being completely stuck and having all the issues we have, because this is not a one-game thing. It's a look in the mirror time. Before we take a look in that mirror, we must get on the line. Also, Atlanta Falcons, on that second touchdown for the Niners, they had 10 men on the field. 10 men!
And your coach wears capri pants.
10 men!
It's a plague in the NFL. I don't like it. I may be coming back to that.
Me too.
More fellas getting put on the line coming up next, third hour. Studio 803. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. He's Randy Young, sitting in our video production studio, Studio 803, sitting in a lot more comfier chairs this time. It's always the challenge.
That's right.
The dangerous game is not falling asleep. This is fantastic furniture. If I get too cozy, I might doze. But that's why I drink a 20-ounce can of a non-specified energy drink for every show. It's needed. It's needed because if I do get comfortable, I will fall asleep. But theme of the show, talking about the South Carolina team in terms of how you turn this thing around, because it's not just turning things around and trying to get right against an opponent that you can experiment against a little bit, right? With all due respect to South Carolina State, it's not like Virginia Tech where you came off a win, but there are things on offense you got to work on, and you're doing it in a South Carolina State game where you'll get away with stuff, right? That's not the case because you're 3-4 right now. The season is already, and rightfully so, deemed a disappointment. But guess who comes into town this weekend? You're trying to get it right against the hottest team, arguably, in college football. A team where they are scoring points galore. Ty Simpson is a legitimate Heisman candidate at this point in time. A defense that just got done holding Tennessee to 20 points, holding them under 30 for the first time this season. An offense that hums. They locked up. Now, locked up and kept out of the out of the red zone for a lot of that game and made one game-changing play. This is a team that is strong everywhere right now. And again, one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the United States of America. When you look at getting things right, Preston Thorne, I feel like it's obvious and also important to continue hammering home, getting the offensive line not to Joe Moore Award-winning level, but to levels of competency.
So I'm going to give you a football cliche here. I have to. I regret to inform
Might
everybody.
be your card is ready.
Nameless, faceless opponent.
Yep. That's in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay.
Nameless, faceless opponent. You ready for another one? We can't worry about them. All we have to worry about is us.
Didn't have that one.
Don't
on.
have that one
Dang.
there. That's all you're going to really be able to do this game, because if you focus on who's coming into town, who you're playing, you might get overwhelmed, and we don't have the luxury of being able to do that, because to be quite frank, we're not good enough at this moment to be focusing on another team. So when we actually live up to our standard or our process or get to ourselves, then we can come to this point. But right now, we are not there. We are not at a spot where we can focus on another team. So, yes, all of that stuff is great about Bama, but we still have things that we have to correct within ourselves before we even face it. So, yes, it's a cliche, but this has to be a week of a nameless, faceless opponent. The team in red is coming in, and we have to play them the way we expect to play them.
And before we hear from Shane about this offensive line, because he did speak, I would say, at length about this offensive line and where they're at, the way they performed this year. But we did get a text. Brian from Lugoff wanted Preston to answer this question. So,
okay.
Preston, you played the game. What do you see from the game film that the O-line is doing wrong, and what will help? Please break it down, and then adds, don't sugarcoat it with a laughy emoji.
Pad level. I see them playing way too high. So the pad level, when you talk about offensive line, is the thing. It's the only thing that matters when you're playing. You know, you don't want to be you want to be a knee bender, not a hip bender. I just see them playing straight up. When you can see the offensive linemen's numbers standing straight up, you can read their names, you can read their numbers because they're standing straight up, getting blown back off the ball. I would start with there. And the old school remedy for that, I don't know if they still make these things, but if you played high school football during a certain period of time, it was called putting them in the chutes. Get in the chutes, get underneath that, work that pad level, duck walk, all these types of things that are going to work on them playing lower, because all I see them is, instead of exploding out, they're going up and they're getting blown off the ball. So that'd be my first remedy, is to fix the pad level that they play with.
What do they say all the time? Low man wins.
Low man wins.
And you got to get lower.
You're going to have to get lower. And again, that's the thing why, as me being an undersized defensive lineman, why I was able to play, because eventually you're going to have to come down here, big man. Yeah, you're 6'7". You're going to have to come down here.
Come play in the soil with me,
you're
brother.
You're going to have to get down here eventually. And that's why you see a lot of those defensive tackles who have lower centers of gravity, Aaron Donald being the GOAT, Sapp. You can name a lot of those guys, and they just were able to play closer to the ground, and that's who's going to win in a battle of leverage.
Now, one thing that it was a common theme from the players yesterday, because it was pretty much all offensive linemen that spoke, and we'll hear from them in the next segment. But one of the common themes was struggling to find an identity as an offensive line. Shane Beamer was asked about the offensive line struggling to find an identity through the first 7 games of the season. This was his response.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And before Coach Elliott took over, again, there had been some really positive signs of the offensive line playing better. The fourth quarter of the Kentucky game and the way we ran the ball. The LSU game where it wasn't good enough, but from a run game standpoint, we ran the ball against LSU. Now we had too many sacks and too many penalties, but we ran the ball. So there's signs of that identity that we saw before Coach Elliott took over. Last week wasn't the ideal situation when Coach Elliott takes over. He's got 3 starters out, 3 guys, that have started games, and then during the 3 other guys that had started the game that have to leave because of injuries, and we're out there with a true freshman left tackle and some other guys that were beat up by the end, going up against the #1 defense, I think, in the nation, and just really, really, really good with really good players. It's going to be hard to just say, okay, coaching change, flip the identity. So what I saw was just small steps at a time. Y'all don't want to talk about we didn't have any penalties on offense last week. None. That I'm aware of. So knock on wood, that's a start. Because don't think that team we just played wasn't making move calls and being disruptive. They were. And heck of a job by our guys just being disciplined. And again, doesn't mean we're never going to have a pre-snap penalty again, but because we will. But those guys did a great job up front of taking a step and showing their identity that way. And that's a prideful group in there. And we got good players on the offensive line. That's what I told our team that this morning. I mean, we got offensive linemen in that room that were recruited by everybody in the country and are big-time players, and we need to continue to help them. But that starts with getting healthy, which we're healthier now than we've been, I guess, probably since the Missouri game. And it's week 2 now with Sean, where they have a better understanding of what Sean's going to be like during the week, what he's going to be like in practice, what he's going to be like on game day. They know all that now, so I would hope that they would take another step this week in regards to what they want to be about, because there were a lot of positive signs trending in that direction before I made the change, and there were positive signs that I saw last week during the game.
And he did mention the penalties. We'll give credit where credit is due. You did not commit any procedural penalties against Oklahoma, which is good, because that's one thing we talked about going against. They will make a ton of move calls. Texas got on a few of those in the week prior. So that's a plus. However, that part of the game is so fundamental and so elementary that you can even do that and still perform poorly. That just shows really kind of where the bar was compared to what still needs to be done, because, yes, while that is a positive change, it is a step in the right direction. Just because I take one step in the right direction, my destination is still 700 miles away, it's still going to take a lot more effort for me to get to where I want to go.
And we don't have the time. We don't have the time to take small steps. This season's week 8. And so you're right, Shane. We don't want to talk. We're not going to talk about you not having any pre-snap penalties because you're not supposed to have them. You can't have them at this point in the season. So, yeah, you're right. We're not going to give you credit for doing what would my coach say? You want a cookie? You want a cookie for not jumping off sides? That's what you're supposed to do. I appreciate that. Awesome. Keep that in the building. We don't want to hear it.
Yes. Yeah. Keep that in the building. Keep that part up, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a bottom line fundamental basis. And also the other part about that conversation is that, hey, if you're a good player, you don't need to be reminding people that they're good players. Like they should be showing that they're good players. It doesn't matter what they were getting recruited as. It doesn't matter what they were ranked as when they were high school players. They're not playing that way right now. And so to walk in there and say, hey, man, we got some good guys, it's like
we got to see it.
I've never been a part of a good team who had to be reminded that they were good.
That's a good point.
Never been any good team that I've been. We never had to be like, we're pretty good. I've been on some other teams where it's like, hey, guys, if we just do a little zippity doo dah, we're gonna be all right. We're not gonna be all right, and the players can feel that. So yes, we're running out of time. Improvements are being made. That's awesome, but the improvements need to be faster and they need to be bigger for the amount of time that we have left.
And when kind of evaluating this offensive line too, at some point when it comes to finding your identity, they did. I mean, there is truth to you did run the ball better against LSU. Not as well against Oklahoma, especially. I know this is not how statistics work, so you can't just take away a 40-yard rush for Rasul Faison on a 4th and 1. But you take that away, it was a real struggle to get anything going on the ground. And, of course, Oklahoma's run defense, best in the country. Alabama's, though, not far behind. We get into a game like this, again, it's going to be similar circumstances. You're at home, playing an elite defense. Offensive line struggling. Good. Okay, check mark. No pre-snap penalties. Okay, we'll check that. That's one step. The next step against a team like that has to be also an adjustment with your play calling too, because one thing I did notice, and I could be wrong here, but so many of the routes in the game were so far down the field from your wide receivers in your passing game that if you're having a hard time protecting your quarterback, it feels like you're calling up a play that doesn't have a chance to develop if Lenoris has to go ahead and break that pocket and you're scramble drilling and receivers are still going downfield. That's a whole other element I guess we haven't gotten to touch on as much, but changing how your entire offense kind of plays to cater to what your offensive line can and cannot do is a very underrated but important aspect of this.
Man, I'm sorry. I can't – I would speak for myself, but when you have – 1.6 yards per rush, 34 attempts for 54 yards. That can't be considered trending in the right direction.
No.
It cannot be.
No.
I can't hear that.
Because that's the point of this team. We might take a step forward because LSU goes a step forward in the run game. It took some back against Oklahoma where you did get worked at the line of scrimmage.
That's just numbers, man. 1.6. Let's say if you make an improvement, if you doubled that, you're still only improving to what is average for the rest of the nation.
Yeah, I mean, even sack adjusted, right? You take sacks out of the equation because the dumbest thing they do in college football statistics is account for sacks as part of your run game. You're still well under 4 yards per carry on sack adjusted. So you're at, not well under, 3.8, a shade under 4, but still even 4. You got to be higher than that, right, if you want to win in the SEC, especially if you want to have a chance to win against the 3 teams that you have coming up.
Right.
It still, at the end of the day, has to be better. The players spoke yesterday, too. Rodney Newsom spoke. Boaz Stanley spoke. Tree Babalade spoke. They talked about the progress of this offensive line, where they're at and what needs to change, including what is the identity of this offensive line. We'll hear from them next here in the early game, 3rd and long hour. Fundamentals on this show all the time. We're basically Tim Duncaning the entire show, talking about fundamentals. But you want to talk about a company that takes care of the fundamentals of your home, business, whatever building it is that you own. Well, So much of the discourse when it comes to Gamecock football is rightfully centered around the offensive line struggles. It's the easiest way to explain how you have a quarterback like Lenore Sellers with the talent that he has, that even despite this year, according to ESPN's Jordan Reed, mocked in the top 10, I think he has him going 9 to the Las Vegas Raiders and playing for Pete Carroll. But that's how you can derail a season, is if you lose at the line of scrimmage consistently. Yesterday, a lot of the players spoke, including some of the offensive linemen, asking them firsthand about the issues and what they're trying to work on to make sure that those are rectified just well enough to be able to hang with Alabama on Saturday. We'll start with Rodney Newsom, a transfer from Western Kentucky, has played kind of all over the offensive line this year. It's been a real struggle for him. We know what happened the first play of the LSU game with the botched snap, but he's been at different parts of this offensive line so far this year. I asked him yesterday about what is the biggest issue that you guys are struggling with, and this was his answer.
Identity. That's something that we struggle with, and that's something that we still working on. We know that we want to be the strongest, toughest, most physical team on Saturday, so we're going to keep on working on that until we get it accomplished.
Identity, the first thing you pointed to when thinking about the things that you struggled with this year the most, that identity. Preston Thorne, you hear that. What kind of picture does that paint for you as to what's going on with them in practice and in meetings?
It reminds me of an old Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes song. If you don't know me by now, you'll never, never, never know me. It's week 7, man.
Good pull.
If you don't know who you are, I don't know if you're going to be able to figure that out by now. That should be established early in the season by the offensive coordinator, by the run game coordinator, by the offensive line coach. Hey, this is what we do. This is what we do well. We are a stretch zone team. We are a man blocking team. Anytime you give us an inside zone team, we're going to get 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Whatever it is, it can be anything.
Or we're ace pass protectors, and we're making sure nobody's touching.
It can be
16.
anything, but it has to be something. And so if you're still searching at this moment, I don't know if you're going to find it.
Yeah, late October is a bad time to try to find that. And some would say it's too late, and you're getting really close to it. Again, we talked about season derailment watch versus season derailment warning, right, in terms of it being a weather pattern or spotting a tornado. A tornado watch is when the conditions are ripe for a tornado. Some would even say likely. A tornado warning is when it is spotted and it is already there. The funnel clouds are forming, and that thing is just about to touch down. And if they don't have this figured out, like the identity part of that figured out ASAP, the funnel will touch down at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly the situation that this team is looking at right now. Boaz Stanley spoke, another player who is transferred in from this program out of Troy, has struggled a lot this year, especially at the center position, but he spoke yesterday. Somebody asked him what this team has to do to yield those results and avoid season derailment warning from fully coming into play and being diagnosed by the National Weather Service. This is his response.
We just gotta play like just meaner and really just, like I was saying, execute a lot better. We got some different players than what we started the season off, obviously. And we just got to execute together better. And that's what the coaches are getting us to do that. And just adjusting to, obviously we got Coach Elliott and adjusting to what he wants to do, and just doing that better.
Jen, can we continue that? Because the next quote I want to hear too, on this clip 22 where he talks about the difference playing for Coach Elliott.
He is definitely a little bit more intense. Coach Teasley's a great coach, and obviously there's different, but he is a little bit more intense. And I mean, when you got somebody that's kind of like screaming about everything, and not like in a mean way, it's just who he is, that obviously like gets your blood flowing a little bit. But he's a great coach, and we're just adjusting to everything that he's changing or keeping the same or anything like that.
Elijah, it doesn't matter if it's in a mean way. It needs to be in a mean way.
At this point, the situation necessitates a little bit of meanness.
He has every right to say it in the meanest way possible because none of you all are performing. None of you. None of you. He should be saying mean things to you right now. Mean things.
Saying, get on the line.
Yes. It has to be, man. The idea of we got to play meaner, I don't know if that's something that just is you just develop. I feel like that's a thing that you are or you aren't by now. To go back again last year, Torricelli Simpkins, the best lineman that we had last year. He also had 2 unsportsmanlike penalties in that Clemson game. I'm not saying it's what you want, but I'm saying we haven't seen any this year from our offensive line. We haven't seen any time. We saw one.
Trovon Ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Early in the Vandy game, we saw them get a little bit of excitement. But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't seen a lot of guys playing to the whistle, let alone the echo of the whistle. And I don't know if that's something that you can just throws on a light and say, oh, we can do this? Yes, you can. You can do that at any time.
There's definitely like a spectrum, right? Like of not having any of that dog in you, having too much of it. Like Trevor Penning, offensive lineman for the Saints, and he was notorious at the Senior Bowl when he was leaving Northern Iowa. It was at the Senior Bowl, and they're doing all these drills, and players hated him because it was after the whistle, after the echo of the whistle, after the echo of the second whistle, and that guy is still going at it. It's like, hey, these are drills, buddy. Like, calm down. Like, and of course, it has cost him in some games in the NFL of unsportsmanlike penalties, unnecessary roughness. It never stopped. And that part never got coached out of him. You'd like for it to see a little, like, hey, buddy, like maybe a little less, right? But I love the energy, but a little less. You need to get more further along on that spectrum too.
And also to the execution point, because it's a misconception that says like, oh, you got to be mean. Again, I played with arguably the greatest Gamecock lineman ever in Travell Wharton, and he is does not have a mean bone in his body.
Gentle giant
but
off the field.
I'll tell you what, he's going to get you on that reach block, and you will not get inside on pass protection. And he gave up 2 sacks in his first game as a Gamecock and did not give up any the rest of his career. And he's not going to be especially like snot coming out of his nose or mean. So you don't have to be that. But I'll tell you this, if you're not super talented, then you might want to be mean.
Because that's what makes up for it.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
There are probably plenty of great offensive linemen that their personal demeanor is a little more chill, right? But when they get on the football field, something does change a little bit.
Correct.
And they at least, even if they're not talking trash or doing a lot of stuff after the play, they're still playing, especially in run blocking. Because that's the difference between run blocking and pass protection, right? Run blocking is so much more aggressive. Like, I love hearing Quentin Nelson, longtime Indianapolis Colts offensive lineman.
Hall of Famer, right? Transformative
player for that franchise. It should be in the College Football Hall of Fame for what he did at Notre Dame. I heard an interview once before he got drafted where they're like, what do you like doing better? Do you prefer pass protection or run blocking? He was run blocking, and it's not even close. He said, I want to hunt people down and block them. Like, I want to get out in space, and I want to pancake somebody. Like, I want to seek out that contact. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have, especially in the run game. And this team in the run game does not have enough of that. It's all about push, and there's just not getting enough push. And if you have to be a little meaner, and if you have to be a little bit of a nastier SOB to do it, tap into it somewhere, man. Tap into it somewhere. Bobby Boucher it, right? I mean, look across the line and pretend like you're being insulted. Something, because clearly that level of dog has not been shown enough on the offensive line.
Yeah, and that's an 0 for 2 thing. If you're not playing with attitude and aggression, you can at least do things with technique and talent. And if you're 0 for 4, you lead to what we have right now,
which is being 3-4 and looking at a stretch of games where if you don't steal at least one of them, then your chances for bowl eligibility, done completely. And you'll be playing your last game on the last Saturday of November. Wednesdays, we like to touch on a lot of NFL topics. I've got a few questions prepared for Preston because we are dusting off this segment because an NFL edition of Preston or Reston is coming up next. Time to dust off one of my favorite segments. Going to throw some NFL propositions Preston Thorne's way. And he will respond if that's a Preston take or if he's resting it for later. Maybe a little premature. Maybe he's still not wrong, but just early.
There you go.
Right? Which is
Firm
the
believer
case.
in that philosophy.
Yes, not wrong, just early. So Preston or Reston, NFL edition. Wanted to talk about this team earlier in the show, but we had some good conversation that pushed it back a little bit. The Carolina Panthers, they're 4-3 right now. They're over 500 for the first time in like 4 years. Do they have I'll say this. The Carolina Panthers, they have a chance to make the playoffs at 4-3.
Preston.
Oh.
Preston. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they can run the ball.
That's the one thing on offense they actually do. They're a top 10 running unit.
They can run the ball. Obviously, we were paying attention to it because we know Rico here, but they can run the ball, and they run the ball with pretty solid proficiency. They have a decent defense.
It's top half of the league in most categories that I actually.
And it feels like they're coming into their own. I feel like when we talked about being a fan, it hasn't been a lot of fun to be a Panthers fan. It feels like the lights have gotten a little bit brighter for you as a Panthers fan.
It has.
So this is cool. I'm with it. Especially, and I'm not saying they'll slide, but Mike Evans getting hurt for what's going to be a season-ending injury, that's going to obviously take away some of the talent from Tampa Bay. So I don't know. This is interesting.
They are very interesting right now. And if Bryce Young does have that ankle sprain, we'll see how long he's out. But if you're going to have a backup quarterback and get you through maybe a couple of weeks of not being with your starter or being able to roll out your starter, Andy Dalton's one I think you could trust to get you through a couple of weeks.
The Red Rocket is back.
The Red Rocket, like he never left. Oh, like he never left. This is the NFL year of the old dude quarterback because we just watched Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers play on Thursday Night Football last week, which I didn't get to say this on air during the show, but I went back and looked. The first time Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco played against each other was what year, Preston Thorne?
In the teens, lower. The aughts.
December of 2009. On Monday Night Football was their first time playing against each other.
Wow.
So a sentence of Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco are playing in prime time was a sentence that was true in 2009 and also true in 2025.
Probably one of the few things.
I was a freshman in high school, Preston Thorne. One of those statements true in 2009 that's not true in 2025 is I can't watch. I got to go to school tomorrow. I can't stay up. I got school in the morning. Can't say that anymore. Haven't been able to for over a decade. Preston or Reston. The Giants are actually good despite blowing that fourth quarter lead against the Broncos.
Reston. The Giants are fun. The Giants are interesting. The Giants are great for the league. Love everything that's happening for them. I don't think they're good.
That's a very fair assessment. Because that's the thing, they are fun. Cam Skattebo is fun.
Absolutely.
And the way he plays, I don't know if his NFL shelf life is going to expand past 4 years. Mm-hmm. Because that man runs more physical than I think any rookie running back I have ever seen. And Jackson Dart is actually, to his credit, playing really well. I remember being like, I don't know if I'm taking him as a first-round pick in the NFL draft, especially not trading up into the first round to get him like the Giants did.
Your folks might appreciate this. When you were saying that, he made me think like maybe he'll have like a Maurice Jones-Drew trajectory.
Ah, yes.
Where he could just be a monster for like 2 years, and then he's just it's gonna be tough.
My brother's favorite football player of all time.
Yeah, to be able
made
to
him a Jags fan, right?
To be able to take on that level of beating every week in that body might be difficult. But he's you don't have to tell Cam Skattebo to play meaner.
No,
no coach has ever had to say that. Hey, Cam Skattebo, we need you to be meaner.
They probably had to tell him to shut the hell up in the meeting room because he keeps yelling things like physicality. But that's about it. That's about the amount of like in locker room coaching they've probably ever had to have for that young fella. Preston or Reston, the Packers, who are currently holding the number one spot in the NFC by way of that tie. They're number one in the NFC right now, but will ultimately not even win their division.
Reston. I think I'm a Jordan Love believer.
Okay.
I think I'm a believer. I think I'm a believer in that. Maybe Micah Parsons is going to come along. I'm a believer. Give me that.
Now, Micah Parsons, I did get to the quarterback a lot against the Cardinals, but do agree with the athletics assessment because they do a reality check for each teams in their rankings. And for their reality check for the Packers, reality check, they can win ugly. That's a good trait to have.
You don't want to rely on it, but that's something that you want to have in your back pocket because throughout the course of an NFL season, you're not going to play your best every Sunday.
Like Packer fans are living the ultimate Rorschach test right now for fandom. Are you proud that they're winning ugly? Or are you saying they are habitually getting away with it?
Tampa Bay's on that same line.
Of getting away with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, I mean, when they had their 5-1 start, now 5-2, won a lot of close games where Baker Mayfield had to win it late. But there were some elements of getting away with it, right? Buccaneer fans and Packer fans, as Chris Berman would call it, the Bay of Pigs game. Both those fan bases have the ultimate Rorschach test right now in terms of what your optimism level looks like as a fan. Preston or Reston, the New England Patriots will win a playoff game this season. It's tough. It's tough. Buddy, I'm
Reston.
Oh,
Reston.
I'm saying it right now. I'm a Drake May believer.
Reston, but I think Drake May is the real deal. Obviously, Vrabes is not a great coach. He's a good coach and a good guy for a culture builder in a culture that needed resetting after the dumpster fire that was left by who? Anyway.
Oh, that would be North Carolina's head coach, the head coach of the Tar Heels.
Yeah. I'm resting on that one, but I am not sold on my own opinion.
Because I'm not saying this because I saw it in person with my own two eyes. Drake May can sling the rock, man. He's got it like up here.
Can I rewind because I think I might have made an omission.
Okay.
The question was about whether the Packers would do what? Win their division?
Win their division.
I left out the Lions.
You did leave out the Lions.
I can't. Nah, I gotta reverse that one because as I was saying it, I had the Bears in mind, I had the Vikings in mind. I left out the Lions. Let me go back on that one. Completely erase. Make sure you completely erase if you Scantroned it in. Completely erase the bubble so you can go to the next question. I want to put the Lions in that.
Firm believer, this Lions team. I was a little skeptical because you lost both those coordinators. Like Ben Johnson was the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. Aaron Glenn was a top-notch defensive coordinator in the NFL. You lose both of those guys, and you seemingly haven't skipped a beat. And you won a game where your defense had to keep a high-octane offense with Tampa Bay under 10 points, and they did it. And, of course, they didn't have to do it. They scored 27, and Jahmyr Gibbs ran all over the place. You want to talk about line play, really dictating what you think about a team? The dominance the Detroit Lions have on the offensive and defensive lines completely puts them ahead of anybody else in terms of what your floor actually looks like. It's really good, and it's mightily impressive. Last one, Preston or Reston. The Indianapolis Colts are for real when it comes to AFC title contention.
Preston.
I think so too. Blue thinks so too. Jen thinks so too.
We think so. I think that's a Preston, man, because again, they can run the ball. And I feel like if you can run the ball and have a quarterback who willingly accepts, and Daniel Jones knows his identity. I am a game manager. I will make the right throw on time and handle the ball. I think that's a recipe for success.
Daniel Jones did go through the ultimate quarterback rehab process by playing as a backup with Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. And Terry Ford brought this Terry Ford idea here. Some of the best resurgence in quarterbacks have come when they had a stop with a quarterback guru. Baker Mayfield with Sean McVay. Sam Darnold with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Now Daniel Jones with Kevin O'Connell. Turns out great quarterback coaching matters a lot with your development. Those guys have become winners. We'll give you our winners of the show next. stupid. And this show is chock full of winners, Coach Singletary. If you're looking for winners and you want winners, you have come to the right place, because we're going to give our winners for today's show. And Preston Thorne, I got to lead us off with Maurice Jones-Drew. We had an MJD mention in this show, the ultimate built like a bowling ball running back, and had a really good prime.
Again, another just fun player in the NFL, right?
Yes.
That's the type of player that makes you become a lifelong fan of a really bad franchise. Just because he wore that uniform.
He was so cool, right? Like my younger brother, we were both born and raised in Eastern Tennessee. Neither of us really kind of attached to the Tennessee Titans, but he would, whenever the Jags and Titans would play like locally, he would watch MJD, and he's like, that little running back is so much fun. And he became a Jags fan, right? He chose that life for himself. But he loved Maurice Jones-Drew so much that he latched on to him and that team. And his first NFL jersey he ever owned was a black Jaguars Maurice Jones-Drew jersey. Nice. And he wore it to the point where the numbers were unrecognizable. Almost every day for a while. Like he was obsessed with MJD.
I'm going to give my winner to the great American composer, John Tesh.
Yes.
For composing one of our greatest products of American culture, Round Ball Rock. I imagine you can play that song anywhere in the world, and human beings of a certain age will stand on their couch.
Like me.
Like you.
Yeah, standing on my couch.
Anywhere in the world, China, Europe, because when you hear that song, it's like, oh,
we're hooping
We're
tonight.
here. We're hooping.
We're hooping. That's exactly what I thought last night. I hear that first dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and I'm on the couch, I'm fist bumping, and I'm... You know, if this furniture wasn't so nice, I'd recreate it here.
This furniture is maybe too nice to stand on top.
It's too nice, yes. Yeah, the couch that I have that is very well worn and definitely what you would call being lived on is definitely more appropriate for my bare feet to be standing on. But, yeah, Round Ball Rock, all-time banger of a tune. I got to give a winner to the Houston Rockets because I did declare today in the morning meeting.
You did. You took a huge leap.
The Houston Rockets are winning the NBA championship. There is a trend, my friend, in the NBA with the last few champions. And we're in an era of parity that we have never before seen. After the Warriors won 2 straight with the team of our lifetime, that was the most unbeatable dynasty that we've seen since the 90s Bulls. The champions go Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics, Thunder. You did not hear a repeat in that since the 2017-18 season. The times have changed. The era of the dynasty is over. The Rockets added Kevin Durant. They play a starting lineup where everybody's at least 6'7", including 4 players at 6'11". Kevin Durant, 7 foot, don't lie to me. 4 players at least 6'11" in that starting lineup. They are one of the most unique teams in basketball. They have a good mix of youth and veteran experience. They defend at an incredibly high level. Yes, they lost in double overtime to the defending champs last night, but there's still 81 games to go, and I'm still planting my flag firmly in that the Houston Rockets will be the NBA champions.
Winner, all-time winner, always a winner in the SEC, the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier.
Always
because
a winner.
When asked about the coaching search that his university is about to embark on, he didn't give you typical coaches speak. He said, yeah, I heard a lot about Lane. He's a pretty good coach. Maybe we should try that. And just the amount of refreshing candor that you always get from the ball coach. He has not ever had a filter, and I'm glad to see that he still does not have one.
Now, if you're Florida, because you're Florida, you'd love to have Lane Kiffin. If you're Lane Kiffin, do you take that job? Given what his career arc has looked like and the mistakes he's already made and the redemption tour he's had to get back to the spot, do you risk going to a place? Well, yes, you have a lot of resources. Yes, you're in a recruiting hotbed. Yes, you're at a place that has won national titles, but a place where the administration is always changing and the environment around you is toxic enough to where it will only take 1 or 2 bad seasons, regardless of how many SEC championship game appearances or New Year's Bowl games you go to, or even a college football playoff appearance. they will be willing to run you out of town as fast as possible. Do you take that?
Yes. Absolutely. I think that fan base and that coach are made for each other. He's one that can match their crazy.
Match their freak.
Yeah, he can match their freak for sure. As far as who that fan base is, I don't think Billy was ever capable of that. So I think you do take that. If that happens, we'll see how that goes. But again, just the old ball coach just being as candid as possible. It's almost like he's always talking on a hot mic. It's like, I don't know if he was supposed to say that. He's like, whatever.
It's like, whatever. I'm Steve Spurrier. I can say whatever. I can say whatever I want. And that's one of the reasons why he was such a good match for them. Last one, too, though. Don't want to go without the show without mentioning this. The ultimate winner for today's show, our friend Jay Phillips. If you listened yesterday, he shared some really sad news about a cancer diagnosis and still did the show yesterday, was fantastic. He's in good spirits, but Jay's a winner on our program. He's
Always.
a winner here at this station. Jay Phillips is my dog, and I know he's going to post this thing up like he's Shaq. Jay Phillips, you're a winner. Extra points next.